How much have you been hearing about gaslighting lately? Well, according to Merriam-Webster, it was the word of the year for 2022, and there was an increase of 1,740% of searches from the year before. So obviously it's something that people are really searching. And how much do you think you are hearing it incorrectly? The really bizarre thing is that people abuse this word when often, and the people that are getting gaslighted actually can't tell they're getting gaslighted, and the purpose of gaslighting is for them not to figure that out. That's why I want to talk about this today and unpack what is gaslighting, what is not gaslighting, and what happens when you get gaslighted, and also what can you do to protect yourself. Let's talk about the beginning and where the term comes from. It comes from the movie called Gaslight from 1944, where the husband was playing with the gaslight, and he would dim the light, and the wife would notice it and question it, and he would constantly deny what he was doing, and he would also turn it and question her and say, like, you're imagining things, or no, the lights are just fine, and it's something wrong with you there. And eventually she just started believing that, and she went along with a new reality. So gaslighting is exactly that. It's the denial of your reality. It's also a systematic process of denial of your reality. It's systematic because it's not something that just happens once. It happens many times. There is intention by it, so it doesn't just happen by accident. The intention by the gaslighter, the abuser here, is to maintain certain sense of, maintain the control, maintain the certain narrative that they want, where they look great. It's something that serves them. It serves their grandiose idea of themselves. And for you, it is unfortunately the emotional abuse, because this is something that's really bad for your mental health, that causes you to self-doubt. It causes you to have very low self-esteem. It keeps you locked in the certain position where you are not getting what you want out of the life, and you're really stuck. And there are ways to obviously, get unstuck, and we will talk about that. Actually, let's first talk about what gaslighting is not, and then we're gonna get into what gaslighting is, because again, the word is being dropped very frequently in situations where it's not. So you're not getting gaslighted if you're having just a trivial argument like, "Ooh, I like I don't know, scary movies, and you like action movies or comedies," and there's like back and forth about that. And it is not if you're having interaction or disagreement on intellectual conversation. If you are like just talking about differences in beliefs, differences even in the religious beliefs, or it's not something that just simply makes you feel uncomfortable. It can be, but it's not when there is a simple when it's a disagreement or you didn't get what you want. It's not when you call a customer service and you complain and you didn't get what you want. That's not gaslighting. It's also not when someone tells you a white lie, like, oh, they told you they are gonna stay in, but they went out, and you checked it on like social media, and you went back to them and said, you you said you're gonna go out, you're gonna stay in, and you went out, and person's like, well, you got me right there, like and it's usually not when person actually admits what they did, and they even if they're lying, so it's not the same thing as lying, and it's definitely like I said, it's also not like definitely just like a one-time a thing, and disagreements and differences, they may be uncomfortable, they do not equal to gaslighting. And the worst is that the person that's doing something wrong in situation and not getting what they want may just kind of pull the gaslighting card and say they're getting gaslighted. So it's not any of those things. Now, in some instances, it could be like if you are starting to have difference in something, but person goes in to question your emotional state. I'm going to break down gaslighting as a framework in different components. I like frameworks because it helps me make sense of things, and this is something I was thinking about. There are three components. Most of the gaslighting consists of all three of these components, but I could be wrong. There's always exceptions. There's always different creative ways of gaslighting. But number one, there's an initiation component. And the initiation component is you bringing up something to gaslighter. You are bringing up something that has to do with a bad behavior, with lying, with cheating, with noticing something where actions don't match the words, broken promise, betrayal, and difficulty understanding something. It's not gonna initiate by you saying good morning, or here's the drink, or here's the coffee. It's not initiated by people pleasing. It is initiated by you saying, I noticed that you said you were gonna get groceries yesterday, but you didn't. It could be something as trivial as that. Or it could be, I really have a hard time understanding why are you so rude to people when we're together. Or it can be something like, you cheated on me and I even have a proof. Or, it could be various things, but they all have to do with bringing up something that will be uncomfortable for the gaslighter. And so that's a number one component. The number two component is denial. Denial that's coupled with questioning your emotional state and then adding to it the accusation or a blame shifting. And the denial stage is, I actually was writing a lot of different things that I've heard, and it was actually triggering to even write it down, and I'm sure that you will all have heard this in one way, shape, or form. Some of the favorite ones that I wrote are like denial of the questioning of emotional state. It's like, you're delusional, you're too sensitive, you're irrational, you need help, you're not well, you're a psycho, you don't have right to feel this way, you shouldn't be feeling this way. Or things like, are you okay? I'm worried about you. I'm concerned about you. I'm concerned about your mental health. When that's the last thing they care about, as they really don't have empathy towards you at all. And so this is like that initiation of questioning your emotional state. And then it's usually added the accusation or some sort of blame shifting, like to that. Like it could be like, you said you were gonna pick up groceries yesterday and you didn't, and response is, I never said that, and you're making me do too much, and you want too much out of this, and so it's like, the reality is that they just didn't pick up the groceries, and their reality is to make it all about you, and that it's your fault they didn't pick up groceries, or you bringing up something like noticing that this person is rude, and their response is, you're too sensitive, and you want everyone to be like this way or that way. So it's the turning things back to you. It's about you being too sensitive, not that this person was just rude to customer service, to a waiter, to you, and to someone else, or you're cheating, and they'll say something like, no, I'm not, and then like I even have a proof, and they're like, you're delusional, how could you? And they'll eventually maybe say something like, that's because you didn't like give me attention, you were too much, you were not affectionate, or something like that. So again, it's gonna be like about you, but the reality is that they cheated. And then the third component is then explanation, justification of your emotional state. So then you go into, like, if they call you too sensitive, you go into explaining yourself, you go into justifying something, you go into explanation turns to you, and that's exactly where a gaslighter wants you to be. And justification, you then try to make them understand by explaining this more, by justifying, and then you also have this cloud of self-doubt because they question your reality, and conversation goes to the explanation area, and the gaslighter is off the hook. It becomes about you, and then becomes very painful, and it's meant for you also like not to bring this up again. Another thing I want to mention there too is that the gaslighters are very, very slick when it comes to like questioning your emotional state. They will find something that ticks you. Like for some people it will be, you're too sensitive. For others it will be like, you're crazy, So they will find something that works for you, and they will, if something doesn't work for you, they will move on. They'll try to move on to something that does. Eventually, like, you will capitulate. And so, in this state, it seems like you can't win. So that's basically breaking down gaslighting into the components. Let me know what you think about this framework, and what are the cases that you've experienced that are maybe not fitting into the framework. And comment on something. YouTube is watching. If you do like this content, please like, share, subscribe. But YouTube is also watching for engagement. So I get messages privately, which is great. I'll take it. I'll take anything. But if you publicly also comment, that increases engagement of this as well, and helps me to continue making content. So let's talk about what you can do about gaslighting. You are not helpless. There's things that you can do, and there is things that you can do to protect yourself. And number one thing is hold on to your reality. No matter what, hold on to your reality. So the reality is that this person didn't get groceries, they didn't get milk, eggs, whatever it may be. That's the reality. It's not about you being too much, you being insensitive, you being too sensitive, you asking for too much. It's just about the fact that they didn't get groceries, or that they didn't, deliver what they promised, or that you noticed they said a lot of things but they didn't do anything, or that they cheated, or that they lied, or that they were rude. Hold on to whatever the reality it is. Definitely hold on to it. The second is, do not explain, do not engage, and do not justify. So, meaning do not engage, explain, and justify yourself, your emotional state, because that is where they want you to be, and that is where a gaslighter is going to really win here. If as soon as you start explaining your state, the conversation is no longer about not buying groceries, not delivering on something. It's about you and your state, and then that will then cause you to self-doubt and maybe eventually capitulate or get just really worn out and just give up. So do not engage, explain, and justify, and this will be done by number 3, you accepting that you will not get what you are looking for out of this argument. This person will not own up to their end. They will not own up to and take responsibility for their action. And because if they were going to do that, they wouldn't gaslight you in the first place. So it is kind of a hard reality to accept that you will not get what you are looking for from that conversation, but the radical acceptance itself can really help you in then taking away your power, taking away your sense of control. And that can then help you in figuring out, what do you do next with that? What does that look like for you? What will you do with this relationship? It can be just that you will pull back a lot and just not engaged as much, if that is the option, because this could be like in so many different situations. It can be your parent, your sibling, your boss, your partner. There's many areas where it may not be just possible for you to just leave right away. But with having the fact that you will not get what you want out of this argument, and there is no matter of explaining and justifying and making them see your way by you making a case for it, none of that will work. In addition to holding on to your reality and managing that conflict situation by not engaging into explaining, justifying your reality, and having radical acceptance that you will not get what you want out of this argument, and that just by justifying, explaining, having them see it your way will probably not work with a gaslighter. The other thing you can do to help yourself is to really get a support and talk to someone that you trust, and also getting professional support, like talking to a coach and a therapist, can be really helpful in these situations, and getting the support from a person that's not gaslighting you can make a huge difference. It can actually open up like an opposite path where you're getting gaslighted and realizing the situations where you were gaslighted. So getting a support is really important when you realize that you are in that state. in addition to all of that, this is a huge topic that, with many different layers that can be talked about for a long time, but I think that's all I got for today. And we'll be interested to see what you think about this content and how does this land with you, and do you have suggestions for anything else. And I will see you soon.